Here lies my ex. Listen, you should have never died. You should have never played with me, because then I got to take it to the third degree.
Thank you, Gail. A local female rapper was killed in a shooting in Oakland. This was Saturday during the grand opening of a beauty store. Another person was injured.
Tan to God, a rising rapper from Oakland, was fatally shot in broad daylight at a beauty store event. "I'm hit. I'm hit." Those were the last words 27-year-old rapper Tan to God screamed as she collapsed on a sidewalk in Oakland. Witnesses inside the beauty store heard the yelling first. Then came the gunshots. Then, silence. But this wasn't just another random shooting in Oakland. This was the end of a story that started months earlier, when Tan to God went viral for something shocking. She claimed she killed her abusive ex-boyfriend in self-defense, and she didn't just tell people about it, she bragged about it. She made music about it. She even posed with a fake tombstone with his name on it.
Here lies my ex. Listen, you should have never died.
Her mixtape blew up. Interviews followed. Fame came fast, but so did the rumors. People online started whispering that someone would come for her, that this was all going to end badly. On July 13th, those whispers became reality. What happens when survival becomes your brand, and your brand becomes your death sentence? Was Tan to God's murder really revenge for what she claimed she did? Or was there something else behind this brutal daylight execution? Welcome to our channel. Right now there are thousands of young artists like Tan to God who are building their careers on social media, completely unaware that their posts could be putting them in deadly danger. If you want to help spread awareness about the risks of turning trauma into content and the violence that's claiming young lives in our communities, then please like this video, share it, and subscribe to this channel. Your action now could help protect another artist who might be walking into the same trap that cost Tan to God her life. Alana Green was born and raised in Oakland, California, but the world knew her as Tan to God, a name that would soon become famous for all the wrong reasons. At 27 years old, Tan to God was making waves in the Bay Area rap scene. She wasn't just another wannabe artist posting videos online, she was building something real. Her Instagram had grown to over 22,800 followers. Her YouTube channel had more than 2,000 subscribers. People were listening. But Oakland isn't an easy place to make it as an artist. This city has seen over 50 murders in recent years. Violence is everywhere. Businesses close down because it's too dangerous to stay open. For young artists trying to make a name for themselves, the streets can be deadly. Tan to God knew this reality better than most. Her music reflected the harsh life around her. She rapped about survival, betrayal, and fighting back. Her lyrics were raw and honest. She didn't hold back from talking about the tough stuff. In 2021, she released her first album called The Called. Then came Unprecedented and Unprecedented Vol. 2 in March 2023. Each release brought more attention, more followers, more recognition. What made Tan to God different was her connection to the community. She supported Black-owned businesses. She showed up for local events. People respected her for staying true to Oakland, even as her fame grew. She was known as someone who would speak her mind no matter what. Bold, fearless, unafraid to tackle controversial topics that other artists might avoid. But being fearless in Oakland can be dangerous. And Tan to God was about to learn that lesson in the worst possible way. Because months before her death, she would make a claim that would change everything. A claim that would make her famous nationwide and possibly seal her fate. In August 2023, Tan to God sat down for an interview on Kid L's podcast. What she said next would change her life forever. "You gotta take him out. And it just is what it is," she said calmly into the microphone. "I gotta move on you before you move on me." She was talking about her ex-boyfriend, and she wasn't speaking in metaphors. Tan to God claimed she had killed her abusive ex-boyfriend in self-defense. She said he had threatened her family, She said she had no choice. But here's what made this different from other self-defense cases. She wasn't hiding from it, she was celebrating it. The podcast clip went viral almost immediately. Social media exploded. Some people called her a hero, others called her a murderer, but everyone was talking about Tan de God. She didn't stop there. In September 2023, she released an EP called Ex-Woodpack. The cover art was shocking. It showed a photo of her and her ex-boyfriend together, but his face was replaced with a marijuana blunt. She confirmed this herself in interviews, making it clear this was about the man she claimed to have killed. But the most controversial moment came during her interview with DGB Media in September 2023. Behind her sat a mock tombstone with her ex-boyfriend's name on it. She looked directly at the camera and said, "Got this to be extra childish, make your families mad. Oh, well, because they ain't gonna do nothing about it." The tombstone wasn't just a prop, it was a message, a taunt, a challenge to anyone who had a problem with what she claimed she did. Her music started incorporating these themes too. She would reference smoking, her ex, in her lyrics. Fans knew exactly what she meant. The more controversial she got, the more attention she received. Interview requests poured in, podcasters wanted her story, hip-hop blogs wrote articles about her, her follower count kept growing. Fame was coming fast, but it came with a price. The internet was split down the middle. Supporters saw her as a survivor who fought back against an abuser. They praised her for speaking out about domestic violence. They said she was brave for defending herself and her family. "She did what she had to do," wrote one fan on Instagram. "Too many women die because they don't fight back." But critics had a very different view. They said she was glorifying violence. They accused her of taunting the dead man's family. Some said she was making up the whole story for attention. "This is sick," one comment read. "Even if it's true, why celebrate it like this?" The controversy only made her more famous. Every interview brought new followers. Every social media post got thousands of likes and comments. Tan de God was becoming a household name in the hip-hop world. But fame came with danger. People close to her started getting worried. Oakland's streets, don't forget, and if her ex-boyfriend had friends or family who didn't believe her self-defense story, she could be in serious trouble. Some fans warned her in the comments. "Be careful out there," they wrote. "This might come back to you." Others encouraged her to keep speaking her truth. "Don't let them silence you," they said. Tan de God seemed unbothered by the warnings. She kept doing interviews, she kept making music about it, she kept posting on social media. If anything, the attention seemed to fuel her even more. By early 2024, she was one of the most talked about female rappers in the Bay Area. Her story had spread far beyond Oakland. National hip-hop publications were covering her. Podcasters from across the country wanted interviews. But with all that attention came scrutiny. People started asking questions. When exactly did this happen? Where were the police reports? Why wasn't she arrested? Tan de God never provided those details. She stuck to her story but kept the specifics vague. This only added to the mystery and the controversy. What do you think? Was this empowerment or provocation? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more shocking true crime stories. Because what happened next would prove that sometimes going viral can be deadly. Saturday, July 13th, 2024 started like any other day for Tan de God. She was excited about a special event, the grand reopening of Glamour Beauty Supply on Telegraph Avenue in Oakland. The beauty store owners had invited her to host the event. They knew she supported Black-owned businesses and had a strong following. For Tan de God, this was perfect. She loved promoting local businesses, and it was another chance to connect with her fans. She posted on Instagram about the event on July 11th, telling her 22,800 followers she would be there from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. for a meet and greet. The post got hundreds of likes and comments from excited fans. When Saturday arrived, Tan de God showed up ready to work. The store had set up a special area for her appearance. There was a gold throne positioned against a beautiful purple and pink floral wall. It looked perfect for photos. Throughout the afternoon, Tan Dagad posted pictures and videos on her social media. She sat on the gold throne, smiling and interacting with fans. She looked happy and relaxed. The event was going well. Fans came by to take pictures with her. She signed autographs and talked with people about her music. The store was busy, and everyone seemed to be having a good time. But at exactly 5 p.m., everything changed. Sul Cho was working at a Korean BBQ restaurant nearby when he heard yelling outside. At first, he thought it was just people having an argument. Then he heard the gunshots. She was performing there, and this guy with a hood just walked in through that gate and started shooting, Sul Cho later told reporters.
She was performing there, and this guy with the hood, he just walks in through that gate and just started shooting.
Inside the beauty store, customers and workers heard the commotion first. There was shouting outside, voices getting louder. Then came the unmistakable sound of gunfire. A worker at a nearby donut shop watched the whole thing happen. She saw Tan Dagad fall to the ground outside the store's gate. She heard her screaming. I think the rapper was screaming, I'm hit, and she was just laying on the ground until medics came, the donut shop worker said. The shooter didn't stick around. Witnesses saw a man in a hood running away from the scene immediately after the shots were fired. He disappeared into the neighborhood before anyone could get a good look at his face. But what witnesses noticed was important. This wasn't a random shooting. Sul Cho was clear about what he saw. He was targeting her only 'cause I saw it, he said. He wasn't shooting at everybody. He was just shooting at her.
He was targeting her only. I saw it. Like, he wasn't like shooting at like everybody. He was just shooting at her.
The bullets didn't just hit Tan Dagad. Glass shattered across the street. Bullet holes appeared in nearby buildings. People inside the donut shop and other businesses hid until they were sure the shooting was over. Someone called 911 immediately. Oakland police officers arrived at the scene within minutes. They found Tan Dagad lying on the sidewalk outside the beauty store gate. She had been shot at least once. Paramedics worked quickly to save her life. They loaded her into an ambulance and rushed her to a local hospital. But the damage was too severe. At the hospital, doctors tried everything they could. But Tan Dagad's injuries were fatal. She was pronounced dead shortly after arriving. The news spread fast. Within hours, social media was buzzing with reports of her death. Fans couldn't believe it. Just hours earlier, she had been posting happy photos from the event. Police also discovered that another person had been shot during the incident. This second victim showed up at a different emergency room. Unlike Tan Dagad, this person survived and was listed in stable condition. The beauty store that was supposed to be celebrating its grand reopening became a crime scene. Police tapes surrounded the area. Investigators began collecting evidence and interviewing witnesses. By the end of the day, vases of roses appeared outside the beauty store. Fans left photos of Tan Dagad and wrote messages of love and support. The gold throne, where she had been sitting just hours earlier, was now part of a memorial. The rising star who had built her fame on surviving violence had become its latest victim. The Oakland Police Department knew they had a high-profile case on their hands. A rising rapper shot dead in broad daylight at a community event. The media attention was immediate and intense. Detective teams arrived at the scene within hours of the shooting. They began the careful work of collecting evidence. Bullet casings were marked and bagged. Blood evidence was documented. The entire area around Glamour Beauty Supply became an active crime scene. Police immediately started interviewing witnesses. Sul Cho from the Korean BBQ restaurant gave his account of seeing the hooded shooter target Tan Dagad specifically. The donut shop worker described hearing Tan Dagad's final words. Other customers and business owners shared what they had seen and heard. The investigation moved quickly. Police asked the public for help, requesting any videos or photos that might have captured the shooting or the shooter. In today's world, someone almost always has a phone camera recording. Within days, investigators had identified their first suspect. On July 18th, just 5 days after the murder, Oakland police arrested 30-year-old Dominic Gates. Gates wasn't just any random suspect. He was also a rapper, known in the music scene as BNC4 Nero. This immediately raised questions about whether the shooting was connected to the hip-hop community or personal disputes within it. But Gates had a dark history that went far beyond music. Police records showed he had 3 previous felony convictions. The most disturbing was a conviction for pimping a girl between the ages of 16 and 17. This wasn't someone with a clean record who had made one terrible mistake. The Alameda County District Attorney's Office moved fast to file charges against Gates. He was charged with murder in the first degree for Tan DeGod's death. But that wasn't all. He also faced charges for assault with a firearm, shooting at an inhabited dwelling or vehicle. These additional charges suggested that Gates had fired multiple shots and endangered other people beyond just Tan DeGod. This matched what witnesses had described: bullets hitting buildings across the street and glass shattering in multiple locations. But the investigation didn't stop there. Police continued following leads and examining evidence. Their work paid off when they identified a second suspect. Richard James Romano, 32 years old, was arrested and also charged with murder in connection with Tan DeGod's death. Having 2 suspects suggested this wasn't a spur-of-the-moment crime. Someone had planned this attack. The arrests confirmed what witnesses had been saying from the beginning: this was a targeted shooting. Sewell Cho's observation that the shooter was targeting her only was proving to be accurate. Police found evidence that both suspects had specifically gone to the beauty store event to find Tan DeGod. This wasn't a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Someone wanted her dead and had planned how to make it happen. The fact that 2 people were involved also explained how the shooting happened so quickly and efficiently. With multiple people working together, they could plan the attack, carry it out, and escape before police arrived. Investigators also looked into whether Gates and Romano had any connection to Tan DeGod's past. Did they know her personally? Were they connected to her ex-boyfriend that she claimed to have killed? These questions became central to understanding the motive. The evidence against both suspects was strong enough for the district attorney to move forward with murder charges. Witness testimonies, physical evidence from the scene, and other investigative work had built a solid case. Police also confirmed that the second shooting victim, the person who survived and went to the emergency room, was not the intended target. This person was simply in the wrong place when Gates and Romano opened fire on Tan DeGod. The quick arrests brought some relief to Tan DeGod's family and friends, but they also raised new questions. Why did these 2 men want her dead? Was this really about her claims of killing her ex-boyfriend? Or was there something else behind this brutal attack? The investigation had answered who killed Tan DeGod, but the question of why would prove to be much more complicated. The news of Tan DeGod's death hit Oakland's hip-hop community hard. Artists, fans, and local business owners struggled to process what had happened. One of the most shocking reactions came from Mr. Fob, a well-known Oakland rapper with a huge following. He posted a heartfelt tribute on Instagram that revealed something terrifying. He was supposed to be at the beauty store that day too. "I was originally scheduled to be at the beauty shop Saturday, but my plans changed," Mr. Fob wrote. He described Tan DeGod as a hustling go-getter with a world of ambition, drive, and courage, and a heart as big as Texas. The fact that Mr. Fob had planned to be there raised disturbing questions. Was he also a target? Or would his presence have prevented the shooting? The timing of his canceled plans seemed too close to be just coincidence. Outside Glamour Beauty Supply, the community created an impromptu memorial. Vases of roses appeared on the sidewalk where Tan DeGod had fallen. People brought photos of her, candles, and handwritten notes. Fans stopped by throughout the day to pay their respects. The memorial grew larger each day. Flowers, balloons, and personal messages covered the area. It became a place where people could grieve together and try to make sense of the senseless violence. Tondagod's friends spoke to local news stations, and their message was clear. This was not a random shooting. They believed someone had specifically targeted her for death. Targeting her only, Solcho had said, and her friends agreed completely. They knew she had enemies because of her viral confession about killing her ex-boyfriend. The revenge theory started spreading almost immediately after news of her death broke. Online forums and social media were full of speculation. People connected the dots between her claims of killing her abusive ex and her own murder months later. But not everyone believed the revenge theory. Some thought her death might be connected to other disputes or Oakland's ongoing violence problem. The city had been struggling with rising crime rates for years. Over 50 murders had already happened that year alone. Young people, especially those in the music scene, were particularly at risk. Oakland's violence epidemic made it hard to know if Tandagod's death was personal revenge or just another casualty of street violence. The city's understaffed police department was dealing with multiple shootings every week. Local business owners were scared. The beauty store shooting happened in broad daylight at a community event. If someone could be murdered at a grand opening celebration, nowhere felt safe. The hip-hop community was especially shaken. Artists wondered if speaking out about controversial topics was worth the risk. Tandagod's death served as a warning about the dangers of fame in a violent city. Tandagod's story shows us the dangerous side of turning personal trauma into public content. When she claimed she killed her ex-boyfriend in self-defense, she had a choice. She could have kept it private, worked with lawyers, or spoken to counselors. Instead, she made it the center of her brand. This decision brought her fame, followers, and money, but it also painted a target on her back. Every interview, every social media post, every song lyric about the incident made her more visible to people who might want revenge. Social media played a huge role in escalating the situation. Platforms like Instagram and YouTube gave Tandagod a way to reach thousands of people instantly. But they also gave her enemies a way to track her movements and plan attacks. Her posts about the beauty store event told everyone exactly where she would be and when. The photos from that day showed her exact location inside the store. For someone planning to hurt her, social media provided a perfect roadmap. The case also highlights how little support exists for domestic violence survivors. If Tandagod really was defending herself against an abusive partner, she needed help from trained professionals. Instead, she turned to social media for validation and support. Survivors need access to counselors, legal aid, and safe housing. They need people who understand trauma and can help them process what happened. Without these resources, survivors might make dangerous choices like publicizing their experiences. Oakland's violence problem made everything worse. In a city with better community programs, conflict resolution services, and youth support, this tragedy might have been prevented. But Oakland has been struggling with limited resources and rising crime for years. The intersection of trauma, fame, and street justice created a perfect storm. Tandagod survived one violent situation, only to be killed because of how she handled that survival. Her story shows how quickly victim can become target in communities where violence is common. Young artists need to understand these risks. Fame can be dangerous, especially when it's built on controversial content. Social media makes everyone visible to both fans and enemies. In violent communities, that visibility can be deadly. Prevention requires multiple approaches: better support for domestic violence survivors, community programs that address conflict before it turns violent, education about the risks of social media, and resources for young people trying to escape dangerous situations. Alana Green, known to the world as Tandagod, was just 27 years old when her life ended on that sidewalk in Oakland. In those 27 years, she had built something remarkable: a growing music career, a loyal fan base, and a reputation as someone who wasn't afraid to speak her truth. But her legacy is complicated. She will be remembered as a talented artist who supported her community and lifted up Black-owned businesses. Her music reflected the real struggles of life in Oakland. She gave a voice to experiences that many people face, but few are brave enough to discuss publicly. At the same time, her story serves as a warning about the dangers of turning trauma into entertainment. Her decision to publicize and celebrate her claim of killing her ex-boyfriend brought her fame, but it may have also brought her death. Many questions about Tanda God's life and death remain unanswered. Did she really kill her ex-boyfriend in self-defense? If so, why were no charges ever filed? Why didn't police investigate her public confessions? We also don't know the full motive behind her murder. While Dominic Gates and Richard James Romano have been arrested and charged, prosecutors haven't revealed why they wanted her dead. Was this really revenge for her ex-boyfriend's death? Or was there another reason these two men targeted her? The timing raises questions too. Why did they wait months after her viral confession to act? What finally pushed them to commit murder? These details may come out during their trials, but for now they remain mysteries. What we do know is that Tanda God's death represents something bigger than one person's tragedy. It shows how social media can turn personal stories into public spectacles. It demonstrates how fame can make people vulnerable to violence, and it highlights the ongoing crisis of violence in cities like Oakland. For other artists, especially young women in the hip-hop community, Tanda God's story is a cautionary tale. Building a brand around controversy and trauma can be profitable, but it can also be deadly. Social media gives artists direct access to fans, but it also gives enemies access to artists. Survivors of domestic violence can learn from this case too. Speaking out about abuse is important, but there are safer ways to do it than through viral social media posts. Professional counselors, legal advocates, and support groups can provide help without creating public targets. The broader community also has lessons to learn. Oakland's violence problem didn't start with Tanda God, and it won't end with her death. Without better resources for conflict resolution, youth programs, and violence prevention, more young people will die needlessly. Tanda God wanted to be remembered as someone who survived and thrived despite the odds. She wanted her story to inspire other young women to fight back against abuse and chase their dreams. In some ways, she succeeded. Her music and her message reached thousands of people. But her death also shows the limits of individual survival in communities plagued by violence. Personal strength and determination aren't always enough when systemic problems create dangerous environments for everyone. This case shows how quickly survival can turn into a target. What's your take on this tragic story? Have you seen similar situations in your city? If this story impacted you, please like and share to help others learn from Tanda God's story. Subscribe and hit the notification bell because the truth behind these cases is often more complex than the headlines suggest.